Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to dive deep into 5 absolutely profound verses from the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to explore Lord Krishna's timeless counsel on duty, our own nature, and ultimately the path to true liberation. So let's get started.
So that brings us to the big question that's going to guide us today. How can we find real, lasting freedom through the very things we do every single day? Lord Krishna gives us a powerful roadmap, and we're going to follow it, one verse at a time.
All right, let's start with the very first principle Krishna lays out. You can think of it as a promise, really, a description of the incredible reward that comes to those who act with genuine, sincere faith.
So here it is, from chapter 3, verse 31. Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manava, shraddhavanto anusuyanto, muchyante tepi karmabi.
And what does that mean? Well, the translation is incredibly direct and powerful. If we follow these teachings with faith, and this is key, without envy, we can actually become free from the bondage of our actions. The law of karma.
Let's unpack this a bit. First, Krishna's teachings are presented as eternal truths, just like the Vedas. The 2 essential ingredients for this freedom are firm faith and a heart that's free of envy. And what's really amazing here is the emphasis on sincerity. It says that even if you don't do it perfectly at first, just being sincere in your effort is enough to start liberating you from karma.
Okay, so if faith is the path to freedom, what about the opposite? What happens then? Well, Krishna doesn't leave us guessing. He immediately shows us the other path, the fate that awaits those who ignore his teachings because of envy or disbelief.
And that brings us right to verse 32. Ye tive etadabhya suyanto nanutishtanti me matam. Sarvajana vimudam stan vidi nashtan achetasa.
Wow. The warning here is pretty stark, isn't it? It says that those who disregard this path are considered to be without any real knowledge. They're essentially fooled, and their efforts to find perfection are totally ruined.
So what's really going on here? Well, this isn't just about having a different opinion. It's seen as a direct disobedience to a divine command. And this leads to a really deep kind of ignorance, not just about the world, but about who we truly are. The result is what's described as a vacant heart, a state where there's just no real hope for achieving life's ultimate purpose. So, you can really see it laid out here crystal clear. 2 roads are laid out right in front of us. On one side, you have the path of faith, which leads to freedom. And on the other, you have the path of envy, which leads to ruin. The choice and the consequences of that choice could not be more obvious. Okay, this seems pretty straightforward, right? Follow the path with faith. But if it's so simple, why is it so incredibly hard sometimes? Krishna knows we're going to ask that. And he introduces this powerful, unseen force that affects every single one of us, our own nature. And the answer lies in a single, powerful word, prakriti. This is our material nature, the unique mix we've acquired from the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And believe me, this prakriti has a huge influence on how we act and react to everything.
This brings us to verse 33, which tackles this head-on. Sad brisham cheshtate swasya prakratir jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati.
This is just such a profound piece of psychological wisdom. Krishna is saying that even someone who is very knowledgeable still acts according to their own deep-seated nature. Everybody does. And he asks this brilliant rhetorical question. What can repression accomplish? What good does it do to just try and force it down? So the big takeaway for you here is that you can't just think your way out of your material nature. Reading a book or having theoretical knowledge just isn't enough. And trying to suppress it by force, that's useless. The real path forward isn't to run away from our duties, but to use them, to engage with them, in a way that helps us develop a higher awareness, what the Gita calls Krishna consciousness. That's the real key to rising above these powerful natural urges. Okay, so if just trying to force it, to suppress our nature doesn't work, then what does? How do we actually manage all of this? Well, Krishna gives us the next piece of the puzzle. It's not about brute force. It's about intelligently regulating our senses. Let's listen to verse 34. Indriyasyandriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavasthito tayornavashamagachet tau hyasya paripanthino. And here we get some incredibly practical advice.
For every single one of our senses, our eyes, our ears, our tongue, there's a natural pull of attachment to some things and aversion to others. The instruction is so clear. Don't let them control you. Don't fall under their spell. Why? Because they are the biggest stumbling blocks on the spiritual path.
You see, this is the trap. Unchecked sense enjoyment is what keeps us stuck, bound to the material world. That's why the scriptures give us guidelines and regulations, like the institution of marriage, to help manage these powerful desires. But even that isn't the final destination. The ultimate goal is to become free from the push and pull of the senses altogether by finding a higher taste, the loving service of Krishna.
All right, everything has been leading up to this. After talking about faith, envy, our own nature, and the role of the senses, Krishna now delivers his ultimate, most practical piece of advice for navigating this whole complex journey.
And here it is, the truly famous verse 35, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat, swadharme nidhanem shreya, paradharmo bhayavaha. Now, this is a huge concept. Listen closely. Krishna says it is so much better to do your own duty, your swadharma, even if you mess it up a little, than to do someone else's duty perfectly. He even says it's better to die while performing your own duty, because trying to walk on someone else's path is truly dangerous.
So, this principle of svadharma, it's all about authenticity. It teaches us to work with our own nature in our own situation, and not to constantly look over what someone else is doing and try to imitate them. Spiritual progress happens right where you are, by sincerely engaging with your own life. That is the gradual process that purifies the heart.
Let's just let that sink in for a moment. This single idea holds a universe of wisdom about finding our true purpose. The path to growth isn't about trying to become someone else. It's about becoming the absolute best version of yourself, right here, right now. Thank you so much for joining us. We're Gyan Kosh, a multilingual channel where we share spiritual wisdom in English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Gujarati, and Bengali. And we have more major languages on the way very soon. Our whole goal is to bring you the timeless treasures of Sanatan Dharma in a way that's simple, clear, and really meaningful. On our channel, you'll find daily videos on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Lalita Sahasranama, Deva Thoughts and Chorale, the great saints of Maharashtra and Bengal, and the story of Adi Sankara, all available in multiple languages for you to enjoy. If you find what we do valuable, please consider subscribing to Gyan Kosh. That way, you'll get notified about our daily videos. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and help spread this divine knowledge with your family, your friends, and your entire community. Let's all work together to keep the beautiful light of Sanatan Dharma shining bright.